Ava, forgive me. I've chosen to go away with Chloe. The ceremony was due to start in only 10 minutes, just one text alert. That marked the final words from Marcus Clark, the bridegroom. The sophisticated hall, meant to host joyful vows, turned into a nightmare that destroyed one woman's world. Ava Williams's phone tumbled from her grasp, still clad in her flawless ivory bridal dress. As the display shattered with a harsh crack, so did her dreams. Was this the finish, or maybe the start of something fresh? This gripping tale of a lady caught up in revenge and triumph, deceit and romance, unfolds here. The dawn shift at the high-end accessories area in Neiman Marcus, smack in Midtown Manhattan, buzzed with energy as usual. Under the vivid showroom lamps, the luxury purses sparkled enticingly. True to form, Ava Williams showed up earliest to meticulously arrange the showcases, aiming to claim the sales lead yet again that day. "Come on," she murmured to her image in the glass. With her tresses tied in a tidy ponytail and her neat attire finishing off her polished appearance, she exuded competence. She'd held this role for 5 years straight, always topping the revenue charts. During the staff huddle that morning, the manager declared to the whole team, "Top sales honors this month belong to Ms. Williams once more. Give her a big hand." The cheers from her co-workers rang out across the floor, though jealousy flickered in a few stares. Ava ducked her chin modestly. Around 10:30 a.m., a scheduled shopper walked in. Chloe Beaumont, a key VIP patron of the retailer. Known for her tough standards, she softened considerably around Ava. "Ava, is there any other shade for this bag?" Chloe asked, inspecting a fresh, limited-run tote. "Beige feels too ordinary." An average clerk might have just said, "Sorry, it's exclusive to this hue." But Ava stood out. "Give me a second. I'll check straight with the main office," she offered. Right away, Ava dialed the designer's contact. Following a 15-minute discussion, she secured approval for a custom request. Chloe beamed. "I figured you'd pull through, Ava. You've got real flair. Most folks would have shrugged it off as impossible." By 8:00 p.m., while Ava geared up to head out, she noticed Marcus lingering near the door in his dark tuxedo. He appeared dashing as always. Right then, Chloe, descending the moving stairs, caught sight of them. "Hey, Ava, calling it a day." Her intrigued eyes fixed on Marcus. Ava instinctively positioned herself in between. Allow me to present my fiancé. Wedding's next month." Chloe turned to Marcus. "No kidding, that's fantastic. You look quite polished. What's your line of work?" "I'm in strategy at Zenith Global Consulting." At Marcus's reply, Chloe's demeanor sparked with keen curiosity. "Wow, small world. That's a partner of my dad's business. Actually, we're reviewing one of your funding pitches right now. Got a card on you." Marcus pulled one from his pocket and passed it over. Chloe offered hers in return. Ava just grinned, watching quietly. Across from Marcus, in a chic Italian spot, Ava brimmed with joy. She could still picture how, merely 2 months prior in the same place, he'd popped the question, "Ava, you're my life's best treasure. I'll keep you blissed out eternally." As Marcus dropped to one knee with the band, nearby diners burst into cheers. That scene lingered like a fantasy. Marcus clasped Ava's fingers. "Come next month, we'll officially tie the knot." "Absolutely, I'm thrilled. Can't wait for our Paris getaway." Ava bubbled back. At 11 p.m., in her flat, Ava chatted with her mom on the line. "My sweet daughter, who'd imagine you'd mature so quick and tie the knot. Marcus hit the jackpot. Mom, stop. I'm the fortunate one, snagging a guy like him." Once off the call, Ava lost herself in cheerful visions, browsing a home design periodical for their upcoming nest. A pale living area, a snug sleeping space, a compact workspace. It all promised flawlessness. Suddenly, a message pinged from Marcus. "Ava, I've got a session with Ms. Beaumont tomorrow regarding that funding venture." "Feels like a huge break." Ava texted back casually. "Sure thing. Sounds promising. Fingers crossed for big wins." Ava grinned. In 1 month, she'd be Mrs. Clark. her expertise from the upscale side of Neiman Marcus, the household she'd build soon, all falling into place. This was her peak of delight. Outside, the Manhattan skyline twinkled. Ava felt certain she envisioned a future as dazzling as the city lights twinkling below. Yet destiny has a way of veering off course without warning. The staff lounge buzzed with chatter over midday meals. While munching on her greens, Ava noticed Tasha, a seasoned coworker, sliding into the seat next to her. "Ava, you're familiar with Chloe Beaumont, aren't you? That high-profile account." "Absolutely. She requests me all the time." Tasha leaned in, her tone dropping to a hush. "She's quite the serial dater. Changed partners 3 times just last year, and word has it one was hitched." "Tasha, really? Those stories are probably overblown," Ava replied, rolling her eyes. "No, it's legit. Old family wealth makes her bold as brass. Folks claim she gets a thrill from snatching guys from other gals. She's the sort who needs to claim it all to feel complete." Ava chuckled it off. "People like that sounds like bad TV drama. You watch too many of those." Tasha exhaled sharply. "Don't be so trusting. There are plenty of snakes out there." Later that day, Ava headed to a chic spot in Soho to catch up with a uni buddy and hand over a wedding invite face-to-face. After a pleasant chat on her way out, she spotted a recognizable figure at a secluded booth. It was Marcus, with Chloe Beaumont right opposite him. Chloe's fingers lightly traced the top of Marcus's hand. Their eyes locked, sparking an odd vibe in the air. Ava's pulse raced wildly. Her knees wobbled. Spotting her, Marcus leaped to his feet, yanking his hand back and rising abruptly. "Ava, what brings you here?" "Hi, Ava. Lovely running into you," Chloe added, her smile easy and unruffled, betraying no hint of shock. That poise rattled Ava further. Chloe nodded toward an empty seat with effortless grace. "Join us for a bit. We were discussing Mr. Clark's initiative." As Ava settled in, Marcus hastily spread out some papers and launched into an explanation. "Ms. Beaumont's family firm is eyeing our proposal, purely professional." "Understood," Ava murmured softly. A knot formed in her throat. "Mr. Clark's got real skill. Must be tough sharing him, Ava," Chloe remarked, her voice laced with mystery. The comment carried a sharp undercurrent. During their exchange, an unspoken strain lingered between Chloe and Marcus. He avoided Ava's gaze entirely, whereas Chloe exuded total confidence. "All right, I need to head out. Carry on," Ava announced, pushing back from the table. She couldn't bear another moment. "Ava, wait, I'll come with." Marcus hurried after her into the shared cab ride home. Quietness hung heavy. Ava broke it first. "Why was her hand on yours?" "It wasn't like that. We were reviewing files and our hands just touched by mistake." Ava yearned to trust him. She needed to trust him. A week on, the big day loomed near. During her last gown alteration, the coordinator commented, "Your groom's been swamped lately, huh? Tough to pin him down." "Yeah, work's got him buried right now." In reality, ever since the lounge run-in, Marcus had pulled away. Their meetups felt strained, words scarce. Still, Ava pushed it aside, chalking it up to planning jitters. Afterward, her pals whisked her to a nearby spot for coffee. "Ava, hasn't Marcus seemed distant these days?" Her closest friend probed gently. "It's the job. Big project keeping him occupied," Ava answered, but doubt crept into her words. "With only a week to go, feels like he's shortchanging you, no." "Nah, it'll settle." "After the vows, it's forever," Ava insisted, pasting on a grin. The evening prior to the ceremony, around 10 p.m., Ava lay in bed, chatting with Marcus via phone. "Honey, it's almost here. Butterflies everywhere." "Relax, I'm beat. Heading to bed. Night." Even after the call ended, sleep eluded her. Why this nagging worry? Weddings tomorrow. Abruptly, Tasha's warning echoed. "Chloe thrives on poaching others' partners. No way. 5 years strong. Come morning, husband and wife. All good. All good." Ava clutched her cushion close, shutting her lids, though the dread in her heart lingered stubbornly. It resembled the hush preceding turmoil, a dark hunch wrapping around her like a shroud. Come wedding morning at 9 a.m. Ava stepped into the beauty parlor, met with warm welcomes from the team. Perched in the styling seat, her features showed some strain, but thrill soon took hold. "Make me glow brighter than ever," she urged eagerly. The artist grinned, starting with the base layer. Gazing at her evolving reflection, Ava dialed Marcus, straight to endless ringing. No pickup. As the glam continued, her old schoolmates showed up. "Wow, Ava, you look low." "She looked divine," one guest raved. Though admirers kept complimenting her stunning looks, Ava's eyes stayed glued to her smartphone. Dressed in her elegant gown inside the bride's preparation area, she glowed with anticipation. Yet Marcus was nowhere in sight. As attendees began streaming in, the hall buzzed with soft chatter. "Where's the bridegroom? He still hasn't shown up." Those murmurs drifted into Ava's space, heightening her unease with every passing second. Suddenly, Devon, a colleague of Marcus, stepped inside. His face was ashen, sweat glistening on his brow. After a brief pause, he mustered the words. "Ava, honestly, Marcus turned in his notice last night." "What, explain that?" Ava replied, her tone quivering. Devon dropped his gaze and pressed on. "He mentioned joining Ms. Beaumont's firm. He cleared out his desk and vanished yesterday." Ava's complexion faded to white. She fixed Devon with a shocked stare, unable to process it. Right then, her phone chimed with a new alert from Marcus. "Ava, forgive me. I've chosen to go with Chloe." Her fingers trembled uncontrollably. The text went on. "You're wonderful, but I crave something grander. Chloe opened that up for me." A picture came with it, snapped in a swanky airport lounge. Marcus and Chloe sat side by side, 2 first-class passes to Paris on the surface between them, and a glittering diamond band shone on Chloe's hand. A strangled sob broke from Ava's throat. Her entire world shattered in that heartbeat. Tears wouldn't come. The disbelief hit so hard it left her paralyzed. "Ava, come back to us," her companions urged, shaking her gently, but she remained speechless. Breathing felt impossible. Her heart ripped open. Beyond the doors, the crowd's talk swelled. By the time 11 hours ticked past with no start to the event, worry spread among them all. Ava's dad pushed into the chamber. Grasping what had happened, his features blanched, yet duty called. He inhaled sharply and headed to the grand hall. "I regret to inform you all. The ceremony today is off. We're truly apologetic, particularly to those who've come a long way." A wave of stunned murmurs rippled through the room. Heavens, word is the groom bolted. On the actual wedding day. That's heartbreaking for her. Sympathy etched some faces, while others gossiped eagerly. A few even whipped out devices to snap photos. Back in the bride's quarters, her pals assisted Ava to her feet. "Ava, we should leave now." With their support, she rose but wobbled like she might collapse. Slipping out via the rear exit in silence, she caught someone lifting a phone to film the scene. The vehicle whisked Ava away from the sight. That afternoon's spring rays felt brutally unforgiving. What she'd imagined as her life's peak joy mere hours before had morphed into a torturous ordeal. "Marcus," Ava whispered. "Why, how could you betray me like this?" The ride proceeded quietly along the expressway, and at last sobs streamed down her cheeks. The tears staining her bridal attire resembled shattered jewels. That evening, after the fiasco, her cell kept buzzing nonstop. Huddled on the couch, she grasped it shakily. Her pulse froze. Social media was ridiculing her relentlessly. A clip from the venue had gone viral, viewed by tens of thousands under the headline, "Groom Ditches Bride at the Altar." It captured Ava crumbling in her gown, plain as day. The remarks stabbed like knives. Folks jeered that wealth wins out, or mocked how a heiress snatched the man, proving social gaps are insurmountable. Worst of all was Chloe's social feed. Days on, she shared a snap of her and Marcus against the Eiffel Tower captioned, "At last with my darling." Brimming with love icons, it pierced Ava like a spike. She ached to hurl the device, yet couldn't tear her eyes off it. Marcus appeared blissful in the image, his grin brighter than any she'd witnessed during their time. 7 days later, Ava mustered the resolve to resume her duties at Neiman Marcus. Clad in a sharp dark ensemble and her routine cosmetics, the reflection staring back felt alien. Stepping into the high-end department, the air hung heavy. Shoppers glanced her way and muttered. One attempted a sneaky shot with their gadget. More eyed her with sorrow. Isn't she the staffer from that botched marriage? Yeah, the one abandoned mid-vows. The comments pierced her ears. She bowed her head and pressed forward, sensing every stare boring into her. Co-workers offered stiff grins in welcome. Nobody risked a real chat. Throughout the morning, she fought to compose herself until a top-tier customer neared and murmured sympathetically, "Ms. Williams, my deepest condolences. That sounds utterly devastating." Then she shattered. Tears started to brim in her eyes. She had reached her breaking point. During lunch, Ava stepped into the manager's office. "I just can't go on like this. I'm truly sorry, sir." "It's not your fault, Ava. Folks will move past it soon enough." Even though the manager attempted to change her mind, Ava stood resolute. Departing from the job she'd held for 5 years, where she'd shone as the top seller, proved an incredibly tough choice. From now on, she'd be known only as the jilted bride. Once home, Ava shut herself away in her bedroom, pulled the drapes closed, switched off the lamp, and huddled in the shadows. Time slipped by unnoticed over several days. Her mom phoned repeatedly. Dozens of calls went ignored. She skipped her friends' texts as well. What mistake did I make? She kept faulting herself over and over. Was my affection for Marcus insufficient? Did I fail to measure up to Chloe's appeal? These unresolved doubts plagued her relentlessly. In the end, Ava erased every social media profile, severing all ties to the outside world. 2 weeks on, late one evening, her supplies ran dry, forcing her to visit a round-the-clock corner shop. She tugged her sweatshirt hood low and masked her features, yet her weary, worn-out look was impossible to conceal. As she scanned options for quick ramen, a voice addressed her. "Pardon me, are you the saleswoman from Neiman Marcus on 5th Avenue? Startled, Ava spun around. There stood a gentleman around 45, dressed in a flawless suit with a friendly demeanor. "You've got me mixed up with someone else," Ava muttered, flushed and eager to flee. "No, it's definitely you," he pressed on. "I've spotted you there multiple times. My mom was one of your steady customers. She often praised your exceptional warmth." Head lowered, Ava whispered, "I no longer work there. That's not who I am now." The man fished a card from his jacket. "Please excuse my rudeness. I'm Dennis Sterling, a producer with ShopStream." When Ava didn't reach for it, he softly set it atop the noodle packet. "You're squandering your gift. From the first time I watched you at the store, I sensed your unique spark." Gazing intently at her, Dennis added, "I realize you're facing tough times, but should you ever want to rise again, give me a ring. I might have a fresh chance for you in television retail." Ava lifted her gaze to meet his, spotting genuine warmth in his expression. "Why share this with me?" she inquired, her voice quivering. Dennis offered a gentle grin. "Because to me, you haven't tumbled. You've merely paused for a breather, and I figure those who've taken a seat are primed to leap the farthest upon standing." With that, Dennis exited the shop. Ava remained, fixated on the card clutched in her fingers. The inscription, "Dennis Sterling, ShopStream producer," stood out clearly amid her misty sight. At home, as she slurped the noodles, her eyes kept drifting to it. Marcus's betrayal replayed in her thoughts. Those who've taken a seat are primed to leap the farthest upon standing. While Marcus and Chloe bask in Paris, I won't stay concealed surviving on cup noodles, Ava whispered to herself. A surge built inside her, a blend of retaliation urge and self-respect. Another week elapsed. Ava toyed with Dennis's card, lifting and dropping it countless times. At last she mustered the nerve to dial. "Mr. Sterling, this is Ava. Might we talk in person?" "Absolutely, Ava. came Dennis's upbeat response. "How's tomorrow afternoon sound?" The following day, she arrived at the designated bistro, a serene spot. Dennis welcomed her with an inviting beam. After tasting his brew, he dove in. "I studied your sales approach. You're a genuine pro at it. Shoppers seemed to loosen their purses the moment you spoke." Shaking her head, Ava demurred. "I simply put my heart into the role." That's not something just anybody pulls off. On-air sales aren't so dissimilar. Why not test it? Someone with your flair is bound for victory. Suddenly, murmurs drifted from the adjacent booth. "Wait, isn't that the girl from the botched wedding?" "Yeah, looks like her. I caught the footage online." Color drained from Ava's cheeks. Her fingers trembled. Dennis inquired about her well-being, but she bolted upright. "Forgive me, Mr. Sterling. I can't handle being exposed like this." Her tone wavered. "I've got performance anxiety and worse, zero faith in my abilities. I doubt I could pull it off." She dashed from the cafe then, ignoring Dennis's calls behind her. Returning home, she barricaded herself in her room once more. That fleeting bravery left her full of remorse. She tossed the card into the bin. 3 days afterward, in the wee hours, Ava's cell buzzed urgently. It was her aunt, voice laced with panic. "Ava, it's awful. Your mother's taken ill." Rushing to the medical center, she found her mom in urgent care. The physician's verdict hit hard, a stroke demanding urgent operation. The bill came to $30,000. Ava paled completely. She lacked any private health coverage, and her savings had been completely drained by the wedding arrangements. In a panic, she approached the bank, but since she was jobless, they turned down her loan request. She considered reaching out to her old colleagues, yet her sense of dignity held her back. Begging them for cash, especially when they were aware of her entire saga, felt utterly mortifying. Tears streaming down her face as she sat in the hospital corridor, she abruptly recalled the discarded business card. She dashed back to her place and sifted through the garbage, eventually retrieving the wrinkled card. After a prolonged internal debate, she dialed the number once more. "Mr. Sterling, this is me." "Ava, is the proposal still valid?" "Absolutely. Is everything all right?" Upon hearing Dennis's worried tone, Ava broke down in sobs. She recounted her mother's condition and the urgent surgery between gasps. Dennis remained composed as he listened, then replied, "We'll commence first thing tomorrow." The following morning, Ava arrived at the Shopream studio, brimming with vibrant lighting and numerous cameras. A staffer informed her, "This is a live broadcast. Errors aren't an option. You'll need to speak continuously for 40 minutes. Ava observed fellow presenters practicing. She felt daunted by their flawless, articulate pitches for merchandise, yet a spark ignited within her. The notion that triumphing here might catch the eye of Marcus and Chloe fueled her resolve. Dennis presented her with a versatile pressure cooker. "This will be your debut item. The airing is in 7 days. Get ready thoroughly." Returning home, Ava committed the user guide to memory. She practiced before the mirror, stumbling initially, but envisioning Marcus's features sharpened her delivery. "At Neiman Marcus, just a handful of shoppers knew me. Now, millions will tune in," she whispered to her reflection. Fear gripped her, though excitement bubbled up too. Nonetheless, the prospect of discoursing on a pressure cooker for 40 straight minutes loomed daunting. Abruptly, images of Marcus blissfully in Paris with Chloe surfaced. Ava's eyes narrowed. "Marcus, Chloe, you caused this. You left me behind and turned me into a joke." Her hands balled into fists as fury surged through her veins. At 3 a.m., Ava rose and scrutinized the cooker anew. She mentally recited every detail she'd learned, the durable stainless steel build, the built-in safety features. In the mirror, she honed her grin, a poised demeanor paired with a welcoming tone. Now was the moment to unleash the expertise, honed in high-end retail on an expansive new platform. "I can pull this off. No, I must excel," she vowed inwardly. This went beyond mere endurance. It marked the launch of her payback against those who'd forsaken her. On the day of the live show, Ava donned a sleek black ensemble and flawless cosmetics. The mirror reflected a woman radiating poise. The sting of the botched wedding lingered, but she chose to channel it into fiercer drive. En route to the studio via rideshare, she scrolled through Marcus and Chloe's feeds, spotting their joyful Paris updates. A icy grin crossed Ava's lips as she pocketed her phone. "You'll pay for this shortly. You'll rue the day you ditched me." The vehicle pulled up to the broadcaster's headquarters. Ava inhaled deeply and stepped out. Gazing at the grand structure, she silently pledged, "Today launches my retribution." With resolute strides, she crossed the threshold. "I'll triumph spectacularly." As the elevator climbed, Ava chanted the mantra. Vengeful fire eclipsed her dread, and resolve consumed her nerves. Upon the studio doors swinging open, Ava strode inside, her face etched with unyielding certainty. A fresh battle was on the verge. When the studio doors parted, a rush of chilled air from the AC washed over Ava's features. 3 hours remained before airtime. Apprehension gripped her tightly. In the dressing area, her fingers shook uncontrollably. Only 2 months prior, she'd reigned over Neiman Marcus's upscale department. Today, she was a rookie presenter on the cusp of her premiere. "Ease up, you're overly tense," the cosmetician advised while dabbing on base. "Debuting today," Ava affirmed with a nod. A seasoned presenter, a lady in her 40s prepping nearby, drew close. Offering a kind grin, she squeezed Ava's arm. "Act like you're chatting with a buddy. Forget the lenses." Yet the advice fell flat for Ava. Conversing casually with a pal paled against addressing a vast audience. Once makeup wrapped and she reached the stage, her knees buckled. Rehearsals kicked off. Ava positioned herself before the lens, gripping the cue cards fiercely. The instant the crimson indicator glowed, her thoughts evaporated. She hardly mustered a sound. Her tone quivered, faltering even on the lines. "This pressure cooker features stainless steel construction." Her stiff delivery reverberated through the space like a mechanical drone. "Ava, loosen up, grin more genuinely." Ava mustered a grin, but rigidity clung to her features. The script's text swam before her eyes, erasing all she'd crammed. The run-through proved catastrophic. The production team's expressions soured. Dennis Sterling drew near, his face calm yet his gaze brimming with support. "Relax, the on-air performance will turn out differently," he assured her. Still, Ava harbored doubts. As the moment drew closer, anxiety built relentlessly. Inside the changing area, nausea threatened to overwhelm her. Staring at her ashen reflection, she barely recognized herself. Precisely at 2 p.m., the live airing kicked off. Positioned at the heart of the stage beside a table holding the pressure cooker, Ava froze when the indicator light flashed red. Her thoughts vanished entirely. Every rehearsed line slipped from her memory. Her mouth quivered and words refused to emerge. Hi folks, for today's item." The footage of her faltering delivery aired nationwide in real time. She nearly fumbled the device while lifting it and tripped over her explanation of its capabilities. After 10 minutes, 0 orders had trickled in. The crew's expressions grew grave. Beads of perspiration dotted Dennis's brow. At this pace, the slot promised total failure. It looked like she might not endure even 10 minutes, let alone 40. Right then, tears welled up in Ava's eyes. The lens caught the moment perfectly. In a shaky tone, she pressed on. "I apologize deeply, viewers. Honestly, I'm shaking with nerves." These lines strayed far from the prepared script. The staff stood stunned, but she forged ahead. "This marks my debut, yet this cooker truly shines. I've tried it personally." As her fingers lightly caressed the appliance, her delivery gained firmness. "My mom's currently hospitalized, and I'd cherish cooking for her using this. The meals there leave much to be desired. If I whipped up her favorite chicken rice soup, it would come out perfectly." Her heartfelt admission touched audiences everywhere. The online chat exploded with messages. "Keep going. Wishing your mom a speedy recovery." Ava brushed away her tears and dove into detailing the cooker's perks. She ignored the cue cards now, chatting effortlessly like she was sharing a favorite find with a pal. That genuine charm from her upscale retail days resurfaced. Abruptly, the incoming order lines lit up. First one ring, then another. Before long, calls overwhelmed the system. The on-screen tally soared wildly. "Out of stock after just 8 minutes," Ava blurted, astonished. Whispers rippled through the control room. No beginner has cleared inventory that fast before. The remaining airtime shifted to restocking updates and introducing the following item. Once the segment wrapped, cheers erupted from the team. Shock etched their features. Dennis pulled Ava into a firm embrace. "What did I say? You're born for this." In that instant, Ava grasped her achievement. Her fingers still shook, but now from joy. She hurried to the medical center. Peering through the intensive care window at her mom, she murmured, "I pulled it off, Mom." A faint smile crossed her mother's face as she lifted her hand. The sight sent Ava into sobs. Challenges had plagued them, but victory had arrived at last. That evening, social media lit up. Dubbed the pressure cooker monarch, her raw broadcast sparked a sensation. Praise flooded in for her authentic, heartfelt approach. Her tears over her mom had me in tears too. TV sales like this, unheard of. Dennis's cell buzzed nonstop with inquiries for her upcoming slots. In a flash, Ava transformed into the rags-to-riches star of home shopping. Over in a Paris hotel, Marcus eyed his screen. Scrolling U.S. updates, he spotted a headline. "Newbie host hits record, sells out in 8 minutes on live TV." Clicking through revealed Ava's image. Ava in a sales broadcast. Marcus's face twisted with conflicting feelings. He hunted down the clip. Watching her weep on air stirred an odd ache within him. Chloe, sipping wine nearby, peeked over. "Well, well, Miss Williams sure is busy," she sneered, though a shadow of worry crossed her stare. As Marcus kept viewing, Chloe's tone sharpened. Obsessing over her still, he snapped the device shut. "No," he claimed, yet turmoil churned inside. Ava's triumph in sales, oddly enough, pressed on his conscience. Later that night, settled in her room, Ava replayed the day's highs and lows. Plenty of slip-ups had occurred, but she'd emerged victorious. The title Pressure Cooker Queen amused rather than irked her. "Notice that, Marcus. I'm thriving on my own," she whispered. A deep sense of fulfillment washed over her, marking the kickoff to her payback plan. Confident she'd shine brighter next time, Ava's fresh journey unfolded. In the cozy glow of a hip eatery, Ava faced Dennis Sterling across the table. 7 days after her breakout success, he'd arranged this toast. She initially balked, but his earnest expression won her over. Lifting his glass of wine, Dennis gazed off into the horizon and started talking. "A decade back, my fiancé duped me." Ava stared at him, astonished. Dennis offered a wry grin and pressed on. "She bolted with $60,000. That was every penny I'd saved up for our marriage." He refilled his drink and kept sharing. He described how his partner vanished with someone else and how he dragged through life like a shadow for 3 years. Ava absorbed it quietly. Her personal wounds felt trivial next to his ordeal. "That's the reason seeing you stirs memories of my former self. Betrayed just like that, aching in the identical fashion," Dennis explained, turning to Ava. His gaze held a gentle warmth. "Avoid chasing payback. Thriving is the ultimate payback. You've got skills. Nurture them." Ava dipped her head in agreement. His insights touched her deeply. They chatted well past midnight, forging a bond of solace and understanding that only the wounded truly grasp. Come morning, Ava's real regimen kicked off. At 5 a.m. sharp each day, she'd head to the station's practice space to refine her delivery. In front of a mirror, she'd work on her expressions and movements. Dennis oversaw it all himself. Skip wrote learning of the specs sheet. "Grasp its essence. Put it in your personal phrasing," he instructed. His tips were straightforward and useful. Ava jotted everything down meticulously in her journal. She picked up skills in breaking down items, too. Ignore the lens. Imagine the folks on the other side. Pretend you're suggesting it to a close buddy, and it'll flow effortlessly. Thanks to Dennis's guidance, Ava shifted her mindset about the equipment. No longer a scary gadget, she viewed it as a pal's attentive stare. The anxiety faded. Daily, she'd rehearse solo in that space, addressing the setup directly. After 4 weeks, her progress was striking. Simone, a seasoned 35-year-old broadcaster revered in the field, came over, clearly taken aback. "Ava, you've got a new vibe. You're connecting genuinely," she remarked, handing over a cup of joe. They hit it off fast. Simone freely passed on her expertise, spotting a product's highlights, grabbing viewers' interest, pacing the segment. The tech crew and writers warmed to Ava as well. Her genuine, inviting nature captured the group's affection. Post-airing, they'd huddle to brainstorm enhancements for the program. During the second month, the crew marked their inaugural team outing at a hip pub. The lights guy lifted his mug for a cheer. "To Ava, she's unstoppable. 10 packed-out episodes in only 2 months." Cheers erupted all around. The writer chuckled, adding, "You're coming across as a pro now. Remember how jittery you started." Ava's cheeks flushed, yet pride swelled inside. It showed her efforts were paying off. Dennis sidled up quietly and murmured, "Up for aiming to top the sales chart this month." Ava blinked at him, shocked. For a newbie to hit that mark was nearly unthinkable, but his expression was earnest. "Nail it as a beginner, and you're iconic. You've got what it takes." After a brief pause, Ava agreed, "Count me in." From then, her routine intensified. She delved deep into each item and scrutinized rival broadcasts. Yet Ava carved out a fresh method, distinct from the rest. During one demo of a premium sweeper, she admitted, "Truth be told, this costs a bundle. Now $200 isn't pocket change." The staff froze at her blunt price tag mention, but she went on. "Consider this. It'll serve you for a decade. That's cheaper per day than your morning brew for a pristine living space." The crowd's response was electric. Her candor built instant credibility. On another occasion, showcasing a budget option, she noted, "Let's be real, this is inexpensive. And since it's low cost, it's not top shelf. But at that rate, the performance is solidly worthwhile." That straightforward, hype-free style turned into her signature. Ava built real assurance. She quit copying veterans and embraced her authentic tone and flair. Once, she fumbled a gadget on live. Staying cool, she quipped, "Oops," slipped right out. See? No damage, proof of its toughness. Fans loved her swift recovery, and stock vanished fast. The Ava approach evolved into its own phenomenon. She was emerging as a legit expert. The lady once booted from the upscale boutique had become the hot commodity in home shopping TV. That evening, in the practice area, Ava faced her reflection and whispered, "You catching this, Marcus? I'm making it my way." The image staring back radiated poise and resilience. The Ava method's rise went beyond selling tricks. It celebrated raw genuineness. 3 months in, Ava stood before a deluxe cooler for cheeses and meats, priced north of $3,500. But the crew's vibes were upbeat. Everyone trusted her touch would make it fly. Her endorsement ensured a win every time. The next week, she showed up carrying a purse from an obscure label, a modest U.S. outfit. Truth be told, this might be your initial encounter with the name. Yet its sturdiness rivals those top-tier luxury names, all for a fraction of the cost, tenfold cheaper. Ava crumpled the purse and stuffed it with hefty items to showcase its toughness. It flew off the shelves in under 5 minutes. Viewership in her slot surged to twice the usual. The production crew hastily convened. At last, they launched a dedicated feature titled Ava's Moment in the peak evening hours at 8 p.m. Then, after just 1 month, another show debuted, Ava's Selection. There, Ava journeyed to independent shops herself, unearthing standout items. For her debut pick, she headed to a quiet countryside spot in Georgia. Outside a structure resembling a weathered storage shed, a 70-year-old lady, maker of handmade spice mixes with a half-century legacy, stood ready. Her palms were calloused from labor, her features etched by years. Softly, she shared that her boy had died, and her son's wife had departed, entrusting her with care of the two young ones. She scraped by, peddling her spice seasoning. Ava, still nursing her own fresh pain, felt deeply moved by the elder's tale. When the episode aired, Ava shared the lady's account plainly, sans embellishment. She merely highlighted the taste and commitment spanning 5 decades, plus the senior's quiet struggle. Within fewer than 10 minutes, a full year's output vanished from stock. The lady rang her in tears, overflowing with gratitude. The story made waves across news outlets. Pieces screamed headlines such as, "A fresh chapter for television retail," and "The wonder of Ava's picks" across publications. Soon after, correspondence poured into the station. Gratitude notes from struggling enterprises she'd breathed new life into. As Ava scanned them, a profound swell of accomplishment washed over her. She grasped that she wasn't merely hawking goods. She was transforming destinies. Yet light casts shadows, too. Harsh feedback started surfacing on the web. What expertise does she bring from that elitist boutique? A bride jilted at the aisle pretending to be an expert. The digs about her botched nuptials stung worst of all. At times, she'd weep solo in her flat. Still, devoted backers rose up, backing her without reservation. In her broadcasts, the live feed brimmed with uplifting notes. Admirers cheered her moniker and blanketed the display with love symbols. A loyal following as steadfast as any stars had coalesced. By 11 p.m., Ava dragged herself home, drained. The figure staring back from the glass was worlds apart from the one 3 months prior. Her weary expression had sparked back to life, and her listless eyes now gleamed with resolve, though the ache buried in her chest lingered. "Are you tuned in, Marcus?" she whispered to her reflection. "You ditched me, but look at my progress and watch me soar further." She balled her hands tightly, nails biting into skin. "I don't require the wealth or clout from Chloe's clan. I earned this through my efforts. Just wait and see my heights." Her drive for payback burned undimmed. If anything, each triumph fueled it more. Every sales milestone, every appreciative note echoed those who deserted and shamed her. Gazing out, the Manhattan skyline twinkled below. Mere months back, those glows felt icy. Now she sensed they gleamed in her honor. She reviewed tomorrow's agenda. Plant tour come dawn, goods discussion by midday, evening broadcast. Weariness tugged at her, yet she refused to stumble. A fierce spark lit Ava's stare. The payback wasn't finished. Truth was, it was merely kicking off. 5 years on, Ava had shed her role as shopping channel presenter. She occupied the executive suite on the 10th level of a bustling Chicago high-rise, poring over files at AvaCon's central base. The shift over 5 years stunned. From on-air retail sensation to thriving entrepreneur, her promo squad entered for the rollout briefing on AvaCon's inaugural line. The head shared with zeal, "Ms. CEO, feedback on the beauty range. Skincare for the betrayed is off the charts." The line's title was bold, but the tagline, "Genius. Even if they cheat, keep your glow." That witty, wry remark exploded online. Overnight, the funding drive pulled in $1 million. Backer remarks swamped the site. Ava's life saga had woven into her identity. A venture firm's head dropped by her space. The fellow in his 50s said with awe, "Ms. Williams, you're the essence of branding. We're in." She secured $10 million in funding. AvaCon ballooned swiftly, branching from beauty aids to household wares and apparel. Every offering embodied her ethos: straightforwardness, usefulness, laced with wit. Come year's close, Ava Curie's earnings surpassed the $100 million mark. The firm boasted more than 100 staff members and had snapped up a 10-floor structure right in the city's core, an astonishing surge. Media outlets hailed it as the miracle of the past 5 years. Accolades flooded in. CEO of the Year, top businesswoman honors. As Ava ascended the platform, she grinned while accepting the prizes. Yet deep inside, a peculiar void gnawed at her. A reporter from a finance publication sought a sit-down chat. Positioned before the lens, Ava flashed her signature grin. "What's the key to your triumphs?" Fearlessly embracing setbacks and rising after each tumble. The interviewer tentatively edged toward mentioning her botched marriage, but Ava deftly steered the discussion elsewhere. She'd mastered the art of sidestepping her history. On a crisp December Friday evening, the corporate offices hosted a lavish gala celebrating that 100 million milestone. Prominent figures showed up in droves. Dressed in an eye-catching frock, Ava drew every gaze. Dennis Sterling, his locks even more silvered, delivered a heartfelt address. "Ava's like the child I never had. I can still picture her forlorn expression from our initial encounter, and now witnessing her evolution into a thriving executive." The crowd erupted in cheers. Ava embraced Dennis firmly. He'd truly been her rescuer. The festivities stretched into the wee hours. Bubbly poured freely and well wishes echoed endlessly. Folks couldn't help but admire Ava's ascent. Once the revelry wound down and guests departed, Ava lingered solo in her workspace. She dimmed the illumination, approached the pane, and gazed at Chicago's nocturnal skyline, cradling a goblet of vino. The crimson liquid tinted her mouth. Abruptly, memories of that fateful moment a decade prior resurfaced. Her slumped in bridal attire. Marcus's note, the snapshot of their Paris getaway. It felt as fresh as the day before. Had Marcus not bolted that afternoon, this would mark our 10th wedding milestone. Might we have a pair of little ones? Could I have settled into an everyday homemaker role? Ava curved her lips in a wry smirk. "This marks my payback," she whispered to the deserted room. She'd conquered it all. To the world, she embodied utter victory. So why this hollow ache in her core? Why no joy? She sipped again. She'd convinced herself Marcus was history, yet his influence lingered like a ghost. Driven by vengeance, she'd climbed to the summit, only to discover barrenness. Pulling out her device, she typed Marcus's name into the search bar but erased it swiftly. Then Chloe's, gone in a flash. Curiosity burned about their lives, yet she recoiled from the truth. Why this lingering void? Reclining in her seat, she fixed her eyes on the overhead. 100 million haul, over 100 team members, endless recognitions. She possessed it all, yet fulfillment eluded her. Folks claim payback tastes divine, but only bitterness coated her tongue. Returning to her residence, she eyed her reflection. The figure in the glittering attire seemed alien. Gradually, she shed the outfit for loungewear. Wiping away the cosmetics revealed her unadorned features. Is this the life I chased? What comes next? She pondered aloud. The vendetta concluded, the achievement secured, yet genuine bliss remained elusive. 5 years post their Paris homecoming, Marcus held a managerial post at Mr. Beaumont's outfit. During a routine midday, Chloe burst into his workspace unannounced. "Caught you off guard," she quipped, her grin solidifying into ice. There, frozen on Marcus's monitor, played a clip from one of Ava's televised retail shows. The Ava's selection emblem stood out boldly. Marcus fumbled to shut it down hastily, but the damage was done. "What's going on here? Are you dwelling on her still? I'm right beside you, yet your mind wanders to Ava." Chloe's tone sliced like a blade. Flustered, Marcus stammered a defense. "Just idly surfing the web, that's all." But Chloe teetered on eruption. Her gaze mirrored profound disloyalty. That after a full decade Marcus hadn't let go of Ava, it stung her vanity deeply. Shortly after, amid a casual gathering with pals, Chloe endured a stinging slight. A friend pulled out a cosmetics item from Ava Compre and raved about it. "This stuff is amazing." From the Cosmetics for Traders collection, no less. The title alone cracks me up. Laughter rippled through the group, but Chloe paled. That individual? Without me snatching Marcus away, she'd remain a mere retail drone, she grumbled inwardly. Her ego bruised, she confronted her dad. The top-level suite in President Beaumont's domain overlooked the urban expanse. "Father, I need you to sabotage a firm named Avico." President Beaumont, reading his offspring's demeanor, grasped the issue immediately. He pondered silently. Truth be told, Ava Cumbry already rivaled his beauty sector. Why the sudden push? Any flaws in our own beauty lineup? Just dismantle her operations, keep it all above board. President Beaumont studied his girl. Envy and resentment swirled in her stare. With a heavy breath, he agreed. He'd always indulged her whims. Within a week, odd whispers started circulating. Rumors spread rapidly across the internet, claiming that while working at Neiman Marcus, Ava had tangled romantic entanglements with several men. They alleged the wedding fell apart after she was discovered in an affair with Marcus. Fabricated images purporting to show her before cosmetic procedures also made the rounds. These painted a picture of Ava as nothing more than a fortune hunter. A coordinated group of online harassers mobilized swiftly. Customer feedback for Ava's items overflowed with harsh critiques, sparking a widespread call to shun the brand. Phrases such as, "boycott the wares of a deceiver," proliferated online. The impact hit hard and fast. Within a single month, Ava's revenues dropped by 30%. Backers grew anxious, with several pressing for refunds. Ava convened an urgent assembly. The marketing director's seat sat vacant. Her assistant hesitantly broke the news. "The marketing lead has tendered his resignation. He's heading to President Beaumont's firm." Ava's complexion drained of color. He possessed intimate knowledge of Avaco's plans. The firm's confidential tactics had now landed in rival hands. Whispers circulated that President Beaumont had dangled triple his current pay, one staffer murmured. The disloyalty cut Ava deeply. It marked her initial betrayal amid her climb to the top. Adding to the chaos, vendors started severing ties sequentially. A procurement rep from a prominent retail chain approached her with regret. "Apologies, Ms. Williams. We're facing top-down coercion. We've been warned that partnering with Avico any longer ends our alliance with them." Her key collaborators all abandoned ship. Capital streams started to evaporate. Staff morale plummeted, prompting a few to quietly job hunt elsewhere. Yet the decisive strike came from elsewhere. The television retail channel's executives prohibited Ava from on-air slots. President Beaumont's influence had prevailed. "They warned us they'd yank every ad dollar if we let Ava feature," the channel's boss confessed, looking defeated. ShopStream eventually capitulated. Ava won't grace the screen anymore. Dennis Sterling faced his own dire straits. The HR director summoned him. "Dennis, your tight ties to Ms. Williams are casting the firm in a bad light." It amounted to a nudge toward quitting. Dennis seethed with anger, yet remained helpless. He'd logged 20 years there, but corporate might overwhelm him. Ava's workspace slowly cleared out. From an initial 100 workers, only 50 lingered. Revenues kept sliding, inventory stacking up unused. Media outlets soured on her too. Stories headlined "Turmoil at Ava Keen" and "It was all smoke and mirrors" dominated the dailies. One evening, Ava sat solitary in the deserted headquarters. Piles of cancellation notices cluttered her workspace. Her cell buzzed. Dennis was on the line. "Ava, forgive me. They've let me go as well." Moisture gathered in Ava's eyes. Her esteemed guide had paid the price for her sake. "This isn't on you, Mr. Sterling. If anyone's at fault, it's me." After ending the call, she gazed through the glass. The empire she'd erected over 5 years teetered on collapse. She recognized Chloe's vendetta behind it, yet lacked any shield. Flipping open her device, she confronted a torrent of vitriol. "Fortune chaser, cheat, your time's up." She hurled it aside. The shatter of glass reverberated through the silence. Ava mustered a strained grin. Assaults battered her from every angle. Escape or shelter eluded her. She stood defenseless before the onslaught. By 3 a.m., Ava lingered in the dim-lit space. She pored over files in search of an escape route, but none emerged. This agony differed from the heartbreak of her botched marriage a decade prior. Back then, she'd crumbled in isolation. Now she tumbled alongside her 100-person team. Monday dawned with a tense chill in the conference hall. Primary funders assembled, expressions stoic. The chief backer declared, "Hand over the reins of the business, do it promptly." Ava attempted to object, but a wave of his hand silenced her. That's the alternative to ruin. Pick wisely. Reporters distanced themselves further. Front-page pieces like The Demise of the Ava Legend crammed the publications. The very writers who'd lauded her before now savaged her relentlessly. Her rise from rags to riches had flipped in a flash to a saga of downfall. Tuesday brought another call in the afternoon. It was Simone, her contact from the shopping broadcast, voice trembling. "Ava, Dennis has collapsed. He's in urgent care." Ava's chest tightened. She sped to the medical center. The physician detailed a stress-induced stroke. Recovery to awareness wasn't assured. Ava's strength gave way. Blame weighed on her heavily. Dennis's dismissal for supporting her had pushed him over the edge. Remorse suffocated her. Outside intensive care, she encountered his spouse. The woman's stare iced over. "You've caused this. My husband's condition stems from you." Ava stammered regrets, but she pivoted away. Stay away forever. She found herself back there once more. Her sole pillar of strength had vanished. In the hospital corridor, Ava crumpled to the ground, overcome with sobs. The nurses watched her with worry, yet she lacked the energy to rise. Come Wednesday, the board convened for a meeting. The surviving leaders were direct and unyielding. The chairperson slid a paper toward her. Choose. Sell or step down. Ava scanned the terms. The acquirer's identity was President Beaumont, father to Chloe. The stipulations were degrading. An acquisition at just 1/10 of the company's worth, plus a restrictive provision. Ava Williams would be forever excluded from the field. She couldn't engage in cosmetics or distribution for the coming decade. It amounted to complete ruin. They weren't just seizing the business, they were erasing her prospects. Still, options were scarce. Rejecting it would doom her 50 staff to unemployment. Consider your team's future and choose, the chairperson concluded, his words cutting like a blade. Ava bowed her head. The will to resist had drained away. That evening, she visited her mother. Noticing her child's worn-out look, the woman pulled her into a firm embrace. Ava wept like a little girl in those arms. "Mom, everything's gone. It's finished." Her mother softly ran fingers through her hair. Her tone held warmth yet resolve. "Ava, that's enough." Ava gazed up, tears streaming down her face. "I need you to find joy. Achievements matter, but your happiness counts more," her mother added, gripping her palm. "We'll embrace simplicity. Start a modest store. Live without pretense." Those words only deepened Ava's tears. The decade-long path she'd forged felt like a total impasse. Revenge, triumphs, all of it rang hollow. "All right, Mom, I'll walk away," she managed through the tears. Battle was beyond her now. She felt drained, wounded, and utterly isolated. In the pre-dawn quiet of Thursday, Ava lingered solo in the deserted workspace. On the desk sat the board's purchase contract and a blank resignation letter. She grasped the pen repeatedly, only to set it aside. A full 10 years of labor boiled down to mere paperwork, yet signing eluded her resolve. Sunlight pierced the glass. Dawn broke on a fresh day, but for Ava it mirrored closure. She stashed the papers in a drawer, sank into her seat, and shut her eyes. Is this truly the finish? Fresh tears gathered, though even weeping felt too taxing. Her gaze drifted aimlessly to the carpet. Friday afternoon found Ava at a spot near the headquarters, craving one final glimpse of the structure. A figure halted before her table. Glancing up, she faced a shocking sight. Marcus. A decade had passed without contact, and he seemed transformed. The old swagger had faded, swapped for a gaunt expression and shabby attire. Ava. Ages have flown by. His words quivered. She met his eyes with chill indifference. Attempting to leave, she was halted by Marcus. "There's something I must share. Give me a second, please." Ava resumed her seat, her features void of emotion. He took the opposite chair and struggled to form sentences. "Chloe dumped me, claimed I'd outlived my purpose." Moisture filled Marcus's eyes. He detailed his dismissal from President Beaumont's firm over subpar results, followed by Chloe's swift rejection. He confessed grasping Ava's pain from 10 years back. "I'm truly remorseful." "I get it now," he murmured, head drooping. Salty drops traced his face. "I realize pardon is beyond me. I only needed to say I'm sorry." Ava stayed mute for what seemed an eternity. Cafe sounds bridged their silence. At last, she responded, her tone icy. "Is that all? You show up after all this to say that?" Marcus stared. Ava's expression held neither fury nor grief, just profound void. "Think a sorry fixes my lost decade." Her pitch sharpened. Pent-up feelings surged forth. "Daily I plotted to make you rue the day." Each victory fueled thoughts of, "Look what you threw away." A wry grin crossed her lips. Yet now, eyeing your sorry state, it all feels pointless. Utter letdown. Marcus fell quiet. Rising, Ava fixed him with a final glance. "Forgiveness. Hatred. I lack both the urge and the vigor. Nothing stirs in me." She exited the venue. Marcus sat rigid, as if petrified. Their long-awaited encounter concluded so flatly. Back at her place, Ava buckled the instant the door clicked shut. She dropped to the rug and unleashed wild sobs. Outwardly composed with Marcus, inside she shattered. 10 years of endurance for payback, she wailed. Across the lounge wall hung snapshots of her peaks, the debut sold-out event, launching Ava, hitting 100 million in sales. Each milestone had propelled her quest for retribution, but to what end? She lifted an image from her CEO induction ritual. She appeared overjoyed at first, yet her smile was truly for Marcus's benefit. Ultimately, Ava found herself stuck in bygone times. A wave of self-pity engulfed her. Her quest for payback had propelled her to the top, but it had also bound her tightly. With the target of her grudge now gone, nothing but void lingered. The clock struck 9:10 p.m. when the phone buzzed. It was the father of President Beaumont on the line. A chilly tone instructed her, "Show up at 10 a.m. tomorrow to finalize the agreement." The conversation ended abruptly. Ava gave a brief acknowledgement and ended the call. By tomorrow, it would all be over. "Just quit while you're ahead." President Beaumont's final remark reverberated in her mind. Gazing through the window, the urban glow sparkled, yet her vision remained blank. She shut her eyes and let out a heavy breath. "Farewell, my aspirations," she whispered softly. Come Monday at 9 a.m., Ava stepped out of her office clutching the paperwork. Within the next hour, she'd face President Beaumont and surrender it all. However, down in the lobby, an astonishing sight greeted her. Over 30 individuals stood ready to support her. Miss Williams, an older gentleman, drew near. He led the board of that modest, specialized fridge firm she'd spotlighted on her program. Trailing him came the senior spice maker, the purse business owner, and representatives from every little enterprise she'd aided. "Madam CEO, please stay," the elderly spice producer urged, her voice quivering as her aged fingers gripped Ava's. "You've pulled us through. Let us do the same for you." Tears welled up in Ava's eyes. The fridge company's head moved closer. "We teetered on the edge of collapse. Lenders turned us away everywhere, but your intervention brought us back to life." The handbag owner chimed in. "Same here. Your single episode cleared out 3 years' inventory for me. What was once a struggling outfit unable to cover wages is now shipping goods abroad." A tearful young businesswoman shared, "I secured funds for my girl's operation. Without your help, my little one." Her words trailed off unfinished. Ava, who'd held back her emotions, finally broke down in heaving cries. The group of 30 leaders shared their stories in turn, detailing how Ava's choices had transformed their worlds. "You've instilled faith in us. We'll pass it on to you." Her assistant arrived carrying a container, packed with countless gratitude notes from across the nation. With shaky fingers, Ava unfolded one. "Your efforts weren't about settling scores, but spreading success. To us, you're a hero." It came from a staff member. The rest echoed similar sentiments, how she'd kept them afloat, their deep appreciation, pleas for her not to surrender. Kneeling amid the letters, Ava wept uncontrollably as she read. That's when it hit her. "What I'd created wasn't about retribution," she uttered amid the sobs. "It was about opening doors for others. Real achievement lies there." For a decade, she'd chased payback relentlessly. In truth, though, she'd rescued innumerable lives. Only now did she grasp the genuine worth of her efforts. Just then, her cell rang. It was the clinic. "Miss Williams, Mr. Sterling is awake." Ava dashed to the medical center. Dennis, settled in a standard ward, offered a faint grin. "Ava, hold on tight," he said, his tone soft yet resolute. "You're a beacon for so many. Genuine payback means holding your head high. Don't let them break you." Ava clasped his hand firmly. Her advisor's recovery infused her with boundless energy. Back at the firm, the small business reps awaited with unyielding resolve. "We'll claim controlling interest," declared the fridge company's director. "These 30 outfits are pooling resources. We've scraped together $10 million on short notice. It may not be a fortune, but it's a foundation." Ava stared at them in shock. Realizing this sum came from their painstaking labors only deepened her emotion. By 2 p.m., an emergency media briefing unfolded, organized by the small business leaders rather than Ava. They spoke out sequentially. "The scandals swirling around Madam CEO Williams are baseless. We're living proof. She's an authentic innovator." The press vibe shifted gradually. The lies fueling the smear campaign unraveled. It emerged that the images had been doctored and the accounts fabricated. Sentiment swung sharply in her favor, followed by yet another surprise. One exec introduced a lawyer from a top-tier legal outfit. "I'll represent her without charge. Fairness demands it." The council had gathered solid proof already. Audio of Chloe's crew paying off sources, traces of the bogus story spread, and crucially, a whistleblower. A worker from President Beaumont's team chose to come clean and reveal the full plot. Ava could scarcely trust her ears. Right as despair nearly won, this outpouring of aid arrived. The lawyer passed her a file. Charges included slander, business interference, and antitrust breaches. The case stood prepared. The small business directors encircled Ava, their expressions brimming with assurance. "Madam CEO, now's the moment to strike back." Ava ripped. She tore the sales agreement to shreds. The fragments scattered across the ground. A spark reignited in her gaze. "I'll stand against them all with you beside me," she declared. The room erupted in cheers. Ava's team members started filtering back in. Vendors who'd abandoned ship reached out once more. Everything had flipped upside down. Suddenly, the phone buzzed. It was President Beaumont on the line. "Where are you?" he demanded. Ava responded with steel in her voice. "I'm staying put. This is my moment to strike back." She ended the call and exhaled slowly. The dread had vanished. She realized she wasn't isolated anymore. She had grasped the essence of real achievement. That evening, in the workspace, Ava gathered with leaders from the local firms to map out their retaliation plan. Optimism shone in every expression. She wouldn't crumble this round. Support surrounded her. They embodied her genuine triumph. At 2 a.m., Ava scanned the messages again. Tears flowed, yet now they stemmed from thankfulness. This wasn't about payback. It was about collective growth. "Now I get it," she murmured. Gazing through the glass, she saw the night fading as sunrise approached. A fresh start loomed. Come morning, a fleet of dark SUVs pulled up to a city high-rise. Federal investigators piled out. They raided President Beaumont's corporate base. Search order. Freeze. Staff stood motionless. The team confiscated files and devices. Beaumont stepped out from his suite, ashen and rattled. An official flashed the document. Market tampering, slander, and blocking business dealings. You're under arrest. The proof Ava supplied sealed the deal. The whistleblower's account, the audio clips, the memos directing the smear operation, all undeniable. Top brass got cuffed in sequence. The mighty elite, heads bowed, loaded into squad cars. By 2 p.m., even bigger bombshells dropped. Chloe was nabbed at her residence for blackmail, intimidation, and interfering with trade. She emerged shackled. "Father, help," she wailed, to no avail. News crews snapped the scene. The bully who'd sneered at Ava now looked wretched as she was hauled off. Bail, shot down over escape concerns and tampering threats. The tycoon's heir traded couture for jail garb. Outlets pivoted hard. In a flash, headlines shifted. Ava's righteous win, the real culprits exposed, a dynasty's sinister underbelly. As probes deepened, fresh offenses surfaced. Beaumont had rigged stocks and sabotaged rivals, unlawfully for ages. Ava's outfit was merely one casualty among many. Wednesday marked the court opener. Chloe, clad in inmate attire, slumped in the box. Her old glamour was gone. As the judge listed counts, she stared at the floor. The lawyer played a tape of her snarling commands against Avico. How does she outshine me, destroy her utterly? Gasps of outrage rippled through the gallery. Her spite laid bare. In parallel, Ava Cumber surged ahead at breakneck speed. Backed by funds from those indie outfits, production kicked off anew. Departed workers trickled home, partners dialed in fresh. Friday evening brought a modest bash in the break room, joining staff and small firm bosses. No extravagance, just warmth. "Your support clinched our victory," Ava announced. Applause thundered. A voice yelled, "National icon status!" She brushed it off with a gesture, though it rang true. Beyond CEO duties, she stood as fairness embodied, a warrior who'd toppled corruption. Monday dawned with Ava unfolding the daily rag. Banner, Beaumont bound for the big house. Beside it, her picture and a piece nominating her for yearly standout. She set it aside. History closed for good. Chloe and her dad faced reckoning. Ava's enterprise could rebuild. From her desk view, she reflected. Vengeance had been her fantasy, but justice was the reality. Toppling one had, in truth, elevated countless others. Her cell chimed, shop stream calling. "Ms. Williams, CEO, would you grace our broadcast? Fans insist." Ava grinned. "Absolutely, ready to dive in." She clicked off and drew a steady breath. Renewal beckoned. No grudges this go-round, just authentic wins. Monday found Ava reclaiming the infomercial stage. Beaming at the lens, she waved. "Greetings, folks. I'm Ava Williams, thrilled to reconnect." Fan greetings overwhelmed the feed. From deep within, she expressed her thanks. Their loyalty had fueled her comeback. The segment smashed records, clearing inventory in under 3 minutes. The saga of Ava carried on. That evening carried on uninterrupted. Gazing out from her office window at the city lights, she reflected on her transformation. The individual who'd been stripped of it all a decade earlier had reclaimed far more than she'd lost. In fact, she'd gained something profound, genuine allies and accomplishments that held real purpose. "It's finally finished," she mused. The grudge, the history. For the first time, a genuine smile crossed her face, one unburdened by resentment toward others. 3 years on, at the New York Stock Exchange, Ava's name flashed across the massive displays. Valuation, $1 billion. Right from the opening bell, shares surged to their daily ceiling. Photographers' lights blazed, and cheers filled the hall. Ava ascended the stage, embodying a total rebirth. Upright stance, assured grin, the very picture of triumph. Grasping the mic, she spoke in a steady tone. "My fresh start stemmed from deceit. Silence enveloped the crowd. Yet my conclusion is gratitude. Success wouldn't exist without that setback. She raised her eyes, surveying the faces before her. Up front, Dennis Sterling teared up, moved to his core. The reps from those modest companies beamed with admiration. I rose because I tumbled. I discovered my direction after being cast aside. Thanks for it all. The applause thundered. Ava inclined her head in a profound bow and descended. Exiting the venue, a fellow neared her, an older parking attendant. "Well done, Miss CEO," he murmured, holding open her vehicle door. Ava glanced his way and paused, startled. It was Marcus. No trace lingered of his former cocky demeanor. Their eyes locked. Moments froze. Deceit, payback, victory, defeat, all surged through their thoughts in that fleeting exchange. "Thank you," Ava replied evenly, her voice neutral. Marcus dipped his chin wordlessly and retreated. She slid into the seat as the door shut. While the limo pulled away, her assistant noted, "He's the latest addition to the valet team. Been here about 4 weeks. Folks say he's diligent." Ava stared through the glass, offering no response or query. Marcus had become merely a fleeting figure in her world now. Her mind drifted to that fateful moment. 10 years prior, crumbling in her bridal gown, convinced her life was ruined, Ava offered a soft smile and whispered inwardly, "Thanks, Marcus, for walking away." The decade-long odyssey had concluded, or better yet, the authentic adventure was kicking off. A fresh tale, centered on progress rather than revenge, focused on tomorrow instead of yesterday, fueled by intention over animosity. Ava pressed onward. She ascended even further, bolder. She stood as a genuine sovereign. So, what did you think of this tale? And from which spot are you tuning in? Drop by in the comments to chat. If the story resonated, show some love with a super thanks. It helps me craft more like it. Huge thanks for your kind backing. Can't wait to hear your thoughts below. Check out the 2 fresh life tales on screen that I totally endorse. Tons more awaits on my page. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Catch you for the upcoming one.